Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Shola from English with Shola. If you're new, thanks for joining me today. I hope you will subscribe to follow more of my English videos. This video today is a little bit different. It's a little bit special. I recently jumped on a Zoom meeting with some of my friends so that we could have a casual conversation about the power outage that happened here in Spain and Portugal on the Iberian Peninsula a couple weeks ago on April 28th, 2025. I recorded it just for you, my English language learners, so you get some listening practice to native speakers of English in a casual conversation. Of course, while learning about culture at the same time. Hashtag language and culture. They go hand in hand. They go together. And heads up, this was my first time using this type of format. I'm new at this. I'm a noob or I'm a newbie. So please forgive me. I need to work on learning the Zoom settings. I recorded us successfully, but you're going to see each of us talking individually instead of the whole gallery of all 6 of us on the screen at the same time. My bad. Aww. My apologies. It's not exactly what I had planned, but hey, we live and we learn, right? Live, laugh, love, learn. The goal here is to give you a chance to listen to authentic English in conversation. The the pauses, the awkward silence where I could put in some crickets chirping, the interruptions, the speed, the jokes, the laughter, all the great components of a real conversation. It's not textbook perfect, but it's real, it's authentic, and that's what makes it a great listening practice for you and your English skills. Yeah! So grab your headphones. Maybe take out some paper and notes if you want to take notes about some vocabulary or phrases that we use. Slow down the speed of the video if you need to. And don't stress if you don't understand everything. That's totally normal when you're learning something new. Just slow down the speed or rewind it and listen again. This is all about training your ears and getting used to how people really talk. And if you like this type of format, please let me know in the comments and I'll continue to do this more in the future because my friends said they really enjoyed the conversation and they'd love to do it again. So we're down if you're down. All right, without further ado, let's dive in, shall we? I am a winner. I'm telling myself I know I can make it. Believe in yourself. All right, so thank you guys for being here. It's really good to see you all. And as I've already let you know, we're doing a short and fun casual conversation just about the blackout that happened in the Iberian Peninsula. When was it? April 28th, a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm just going to go through and ask you some questions and feel free to share like your reactions of to the blackout and what happened. And I'll give a few questions that each of you can answer just very briefly, like 20, 30 seconds. So we keep it going and everyone gets to share. And then I'll give a few more questions that you could volunteer to answer and you don't have to share if you don't want to. Okay, so does that sound all right?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Perfect. Okay. First of all, could you introduce yourself and say where you were and what you were doing when the blackout hit? We'll start with Nina.
So my name is Nina. I live in Logroño, Spain, and we're currently actually moving apartments, my husband and I. We bought a bigger one, and we've been slowly but surely moving our stuff. I'm currently in the smaller one right now, though, because we don't have Wi-Fi set up in the new one. And I was in that new apartment in our bedroom, hanging up clothes in the closet, and all of a sudden the lights just go out. And so my first thought was, well, maybe it has something to do with the electricity in our new apartment. So I went over to like what do you call those? The switches,
the circuit breaker.
Circuit breaker. Box. That's it. Yes. I went there and I like turned stuff off and on and it wasn't working. So I then thought, okay, this is weird. So I finished up my stuff and then went down the stairs. I saw the elevator wasn't working. So I thought, okay, maybe it's a power outage in the whole building. So I walked down the stairs and then I get out to the street and then I'm like, oh no, it's everywhere. The lights aren't working. Yep. Okay.
All right. Perfect. And Toniel, can you go next?
Sure. Oh, sorry. Toniel, not Antonio. My bad. Funnily, Spanish people they can't get my name, so they sometimes they call me Tony or Antonio.
Yeah, of course, of course.
All right, so my name is Tonil, and I'm an auxiliary. I'm also the co-host of the Yardman podcast. And in the moment of the blackout, I was actually doing a class. I was in the middle of school.
Mm.
We were doing a grammar exercise with the kids, and then the interactive board went out along with the lights at the school. I mean, the teacher there at the moment, we thought that maybe it was just a small problem, and we should wait, just to finish the class. We'd finish with the book, and then he started getting messages on his phone saying it's like a countrywide blackout, and it wasn't only in Spain. And then I was like, wow, this is different. This is weird for Spain. I've experienced a few blackouts before where I'm from, but I've never seen it happen such on such a large scale, and for a whole country, for example. And like an hour after, we still had school, and there was just this feeling of like everybody was uncomfortable because the lights went out, and the kids were excited because they've never seen something like this before. So it
Mhm.
was a mixture of feelings, like that first hour of the blackout, but yeah, it was something that day.
All right.
Yeah.
And Antonio, what about you? Because you're not in Spain like the rest of us, you're in Portugal.
Ah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm in Lisbon, and I'm an actor and a writer, but I also have lots of jobs online to make up for the ups and downs of the artistic career, of course. And so I was actually on the phone on a call because of an acting job I was getting, and everything just went poof, everything went off. And I thought, well, the same as everybody, lights went down. But I found it strange right away because even if the lights go down, the internet on your cell phone will still be up. You'll still have service, phone service. And so I immediately understood that this was something bigger. I'm not very it's not easy for me to panic. So I was just like, okay, good. I have a break for some time. And I basically, um, took some time to wait to see if anything happened. And after half an hour and seeing everybody coming out to the windows, because people are, get stressed out if they don't have their cell phone or internet or something like that nowadays, right? But I'm not like that. I actually enjoy doing trips without my cell phone and stuff like that. And so it was awesome because I just went to bed and took a big old nap. And just when I woke up, there was still nothing on. And I went from there.
All right, that's awesome. And the big nap, yeah. I'm surprised
Yeah,
more Spanish
well,
people
why
didn't
not?
have a siesta.
Exactly, exactly.
All right. And Dave, what about you?
Yes, so my name is Dave Barry. I'm a speaker and MC, and I also have a HR consultancy. So I've been living and based here in Alicante City, close to Shola, for the last 5 years, coming up in July. So I was interestingly actually just on the way back from 11 days in Sri Lanka, and it takes about like 24 hours end to end by the time you leave, your accommodation in Sri Lanka to the time that you arrive back into where you live here in Spain. So we were at that point actually we'd flown from like Sri Lanka to Qatar, Qatar to Madrid, and we're in a train from Madrid to Alicante, and we could literally see the station here in Alicante. So we were about 5 minutes out. And next thing, the train just stopped, and it was just eerily silent. And I think just the sleep deprivation, of the travel that had preceded, and also we had no luggage. They'd left our bags behind in Doha. It just became eerily silent. And obviously the train stopped, the aircon went off, and then there was some rumblings on the train, that it was a cyber attack, and Spain and Portugal, and even at that point they were talking about maybe France, maybe the Netherlands and stuff, you know. So I was kind of sitting there, again, sleep deprived from all the travel, thinking, you know what, if this is the end, if this is some kind of a global, you know, attack of some sorts, I've had a lovely 11 days in Sri Lanka. So, you know, if that's my last memory on this earth, that will be okay. So we were on the train for about an hour. And so the policia then came on. They had to like prise the doors open, and we had to walk down the track really carefully in case the electricity came back. And you know, we didn't obviously want that to happen. So yeah, like it was really interesting for me. And back to what Antonio was saying, like I'm definitely not a panicker. But I felt it was just really weird because first of all, obviously electricity went and then phones went. And when I got back to the apartment here, the water went, and I didn't actually realize at the time that obviously in apartment buildings that the water is needs electricity for the pumps to. So I had these extremely weird, almost from hell sounds coming out of the toilet, actually. So the whole thing was just highly bizarre. So I went to a complete, you know, a theory that this was the end, and you know, for all of us and stuff. But here in Alicante, it was just really interesting. Antonio, you had a little siesta, but in Alicante, yeah, all my friends just went drinking. Basically, they were at Luceros here in the center and Castañas having warm vino blanco, warm beers. And every time the electricity came back, then in a building there was a big cheer and stuff. So you know, I think this is a lovely. It's quite an Irish thing as well. I think as a Spanish, but there was almost like joy out of something, you know, unexpected and unusual. So people had a great day, but I just sat at home waiting for the world to end. But again, thankful for the holiday that I just had in Sri Lanka.
All right, perfect. Thanks for sharing, Dave. I think you have the most interesting story out of all of us.
Maybe.
Okay, now the next question is, did the blackout actually affect your plans or your work? So, because especially for those of us working with technology, which is just about everyone these days. So did it affect your plans or work, and how long did it last for you? So back to Nina.
So I'm going to say, unfortunately, it didn't. And the reason why I use unfortunately is because I work at an English academy in the afternoons from roughly 4 to 8 p.m. And my supervisors were like, nope, you can still teach class. Even with no light, we're still going to like have the academy open. I see the reason why they did it because our academy, whenever we have like holidays, they always work to reschedule the classes for the children. They at least give the parents an option because, you know, we have so many different classes throughout the week, and there are some hours where there's like 8 of us teaching at a time, different levels. So it's possible that if your child, like if there's a holiday on a Monday, your child can like then go to the Thursday class of their same level at like a different time. So I think in my boss's minds, they were like, well, if we don't have the school open, we're going to have to reschedule all these classes and it's more work. Not all my students came, and we, of course, couldn't use any sort of technology, but we could still use our books and like we have games that don't involve technology. So I'll say unfortunately, just because I was jealous of the people that were just out drinking and having fun, because that wasn't
Okay.
me.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, for me, I was working at home online, and luckily, Zainab's here. Okay. Luckily, I had already finished 3 classes, and then I was about to start my last 2 hours of classes that's when it went out at 12:30, and so I missed out on 2 classes, not too much. So that was pretty good. Okay, so Toniel, I still don't say your name correctly. Toniel. Sorry,
Tonil.
Toniel. Okay. Yeah, you're
No
right.
worries,
I'm
no
saying it
worries.
the Spanish way. Okay. All right. Toniel, so did it affect your
So,
plans, and how long did it last for you?
so just like Nina, unfortunately, it didn't stop my day. I work at an academy in the evenings, just like her, and I still had I still had kids. Surprisingly, I was surprised because honestly, if there's a blackout happening in my country and it's not something that happens like every day, I don't think it would be very safe to send my kids out to an academy. you know, where I can't have contact with the teachers if anything happens. You know, it's just like darkness. And there's no way of telling what was actually happening during that time because the phones, because I'm in Murcia, the phones went out like an hour after the light went out. And even that same day, I was thinking, like, should I go to work? Should I stay home? But in the end, I was like, you know, chances are I might have to still work. So I actually went to work. You know, we're equipped with a lot of flashcards, a lot of games. I'm equipped with a lot of games also, and I know how to pass the time. So technology wasn't really an issue, but I just wish I had that day off, that evening off.
All right, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thanks to Tonil. Now, Zinab is here. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. Hey, how are you? Hope you're doing great, all of you. And by the way, can you just explain a little bit so that I can keep up with the pace?
Of course. Yeah,
Okay.
you'll hop right in. So you could just share a short introduction about who you are and where were you when the blackout happened, and did it affect your work or your plans?
Actually, okay. So first of all, like I am at my room, like it's like my mini studio. I don't know if they like it can flip. I never used like sorry, I'm looking kind of ignorant because I never used Zoom on application like phone.
It's
phone
fine.
application.
We can see you perfectly. Yeah.
No, what I wanted to tell you when the blackout did happen, I had my backup, so so,
Okay.
so I had lights here, like lights in everything, like already. And
Perfect.
yeah, so to be honest, like I feel so bad for people that they were like stuck on trains and the accidents that did happen with traffic jam, signals that they were like practically no signals because of the lack of electricity. But for me, like I have always like a power bank for emergencies. So this power bank, like I got light for so long with the power bank. And later I just did enjoy like hanging out because it did remind me with some places in Morocco when I was like too young. For example, in summer nights, like very late, our fathers like let us going out and playing as kids, which is something like gorgeous. So there is some places where electricity don't get, and we just like feel like horror movies. We enter there, we start screaming. So it did remind me with all of that. I felt kind of nostalgic, and it was really great. And yeah, and later I didn't feel like so that much anxious about the thing. Maybe because I wasn't the ones that they suffer from like being stuck somewhere, or their kids they are like they don't have a way to get to their kids from the school. So my case, like I was like in peace. The same with Corona. I didn't suffer with the coronavirus because I was spending, you can say, like, uh, I had, ay, Dios, es que se me ha olvidado la palabra. I used to live in Ceuta, okay? So living in Ceuta, it's like a really, really small town, not city. It's a small town, like an island. So there, like I had some free time, me time. So when we had the coronavirus, for example, the same like blackout, like a national or international crisis in general. So I used to go there and just to meditate and like the scene. It was like really fun for me. So I didn't feel locked down as people did, like for real. So maybe I'm not Shola. Maybe I'm not the great example to talk about that topic, but this is my personal experience. For introducing me, which is I did leave it to the end.
Okay.
Hashtag being an ADHD woman, be like I jump from there to here. So yeah, my name is Zainab. First of all, I am Moroccan. I have 25 years old. Yeah, 25, and I am a filmmaker, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab. Thank you for sharing. That's good to hear a different perspective and about how it was kind of nostalgic for you. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, it was nostalgic, literally.
Yeah. Okay. And Antonio, what about you? Well, I think you already told us it didn't really affect your plans. And okay.
Yeah, but I can add something to it. I just kept it short because I knew there were more questions. A lot of people talk. Anyway, so yeah, I was at home, so I wasn't stuck anywhere. Um, I got to separate this question in two parts. So there's the work that's for earning money, and then there's work that has to do with purpose. And in this case, artistic endeavors for me. So what I do, I can write and rehearse and act like whenever. I don't need technology at all, like except for maybe paper and pen that you know qualifies. And so after I got up from my nap, things were still not, on, and so I couldn't do any kind of job of the types of jobs I do for earning money. And it was a big actually it was a relief, because I had a whole day to be able to just have time to slowly practice my craft without having to squeeze it in with other stuff that's more functional to my life, you know? And so that was very refreshing. Um, and it was a great day for me. I'm sorry to say, I hope I'm sorry for people who had a bad day. Like my sister had to walk, was stuck in a subway. She had to get out into the tunnel with everybody. They had to walk through the tunnel to the next station. Then she had to walk back 1 hour to back home, So that sucked. But I was in a really good position either way because my parents lived like 10 minutes walking from me. Like I was close to everybody if I needed to go help. And yeah, and actually, my boss paid us the full day anyway because she's from the US, and that was awesome. She was like, as soon as everything came up, we had a message saying, "I'm sorry this happened to you guys. Don't worry, I got you back." And yeah, I don't know. I was confident the whole time anyway that it would be solved, although this never happened at
Yeah.
this scale, and this never happened.
Yeah, that's great. So, I mean, similar to you, like I'm just grateful that nothing dangerous or stressful happened to me because I was safe at home. I just ended up, going to the beach since I live here in Alicante. Just I spent the whole afternoon at the beach and having a romantic stroll along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. Like it was a beautiful day for me. So, but of course, I hate the fact that so many people went through tough situations like you described with your sister. All right. So, Dave, did the blackout affect your work plans?
So I was still on holiday, so it was my last day of vacation. I was back to work the following morning on the Tuesday. So I did have a call on the Tuesday morning actually that I was had done nothing for before I went on vacation. So in my case, I'm back to some of what Antonio was just talking about. So for me, I kind of just went with the day. I was at the end, of a vacation, at the end of really long travel. And it almost just suited me, you know what I mean, that the world decided that there was no electricity to like catch up on, either, work stuff or TV stuff or whichever. So I was quite happily sitting in the apartment here. And I literally went back to pen and paper actually, which was really interesting in that I had a call like the next day putting a talent management strategy with a client in Dublin back in Ireland. So I literally like wrote it out on paper, sitting on my couch, having a lovely glass of cold, still semi-cold, Vino Blanco. So for me, actually, like I was able to just achieve that, on paper, and have the call next day probably more prepared than I would have been, if that hadn't happened actually. So it all worked out okay. It all worked out all right.
All right, perfect. Thanks for sharing, Dave. So this next question is just for anyone, whoever wants to answer, and it can be more conversational style, responding to each other instead of taking turns. So what would you do differently next time to prepare for something like this? Or did this experience make you want to, stock up on a few products or have a strategy for the next time if it happens?
I'd say just having like some sort of a portable charger because my phone was already on like 30%, I think, or something like that. And and I was lucky that I could actually somewhat use WhatsApp and had somewhat of a signal. I think people with iPhones were a little bit luckier in that regard. I don't know. So that would be the only thing.
Okay. Yeah, I already have a portable charger just that I use for like days if I'm going to be out of the house all day or for traveling. But This experience made me think about buying a couple of solar panel chargers to have those in case. And I was confused about the phones. Like one of my friends, he had service from France. His service provider was from there, and his phone still worked. My provider is Vodafone from here in Spain. From here in Spain. I'm mixing Spain and phone. Okay. But I didn't have any data or anything, so I was confused about how that was working.
Yeah, that was definitely confusing. I think again I was happily sitting at home until the electricity here came back around 8:30. I think from memory. But I think one of the greatest learnings that I've heard people talk about here in Alicante was actually having cash, because when everything went out, there was not the ability to obviously pay, with cards or with our phones. So I think people really thought about, having moved so far from having, cash, in their wallets and purses and stuff. So I think that was probably one of the main learnings from here, and definitely back to what Nina and you were both talking about. Like we were like so much on our phones now. So like mine was down to 4% or something. You know what I mean? I was literally turning it on, turning it off, which probably, drained more electricity from it, or power from it, than just leaving it on in the first place. So I think those are the kinds of things that I think we all were thinking about for the next time, and we probably need to be a little bit more prepared.
Yeah, I guess Shola, I guess yeah, Dave it's right. He has the right about the cash part, because I did like run out of money. Me too. I was like, I felt like that my bank account, as they just did freeze it, but electricity did actually not not an institution. And later, like I couldn't even buy myself a candle, I mean like candle to light in here, by any other stuff, like for food or for emergencies. And I said, dang, why I don't have cash with me? And I guess it's really crucial. Yeah, I guess we all did learn this, like we should have cash. Though that I don't know if it's true. I heard some rumors about that they're going to like cash in some, like 2 years from now, like they're going to transform the world like into criptomoneda, no sé cómo se dice criptomoneda, joder, es que no me sale.
Cryptocurrency?
Yeah, cryptocurrency. Like,
Cryptocurrency.
I'm really sorry. Like, I gotta switch with 4 languages in my brain, and I'm just getting crazy. So, yeah. I was saying like a cryptocurrency. Look, this is like, I don't know if it's true, but it did horrify me, because like everyone will be like slaves practically, in an indirect way, because that way we're not going we're having no freedom. We're not going to have freedom. We're having no freedom practically. And in this part, like, did really scare of me, because I'm someone do really enjoy like writing and all the way stuff, as Antonio was mentioning just like minutes ago. I'm really that kind of old person. Somehow I have that side. So yeah, I think like it's getting every time crazier. Like it's kind of protocols that they want to control us. People, they still like, no, this is not true. They all like mythology things. You're just insane or obsessed about what's up. But look at us. We are unable to achieve or to execute any kind of task without using our phones, which is like practically make us linked consciously or unconsciously with our phones. I don't see like as an, it has some convenience and inconvenience at the same time, but I don't see it as a really big deal, to be honest. For me, this is my POV. It doesn't mean all the world has to think that way or to think like me, but yeah, it smells bad what is going to happen in the future. And for the part about Spain, is not going to repeat. I don't think so. It's going to be repeated soon because like the ways that they are like managing energies is not a really good way in methods. Yeah, they're not good methods to use. So I don't think we're going in a really good way. Hopefully that, let's just keep optimistic. I don't want to like spread some kind of bad energy, but let's be realistic and optimistic at the same time. That's all what I can add. And have cash in case.
Yeah.
That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. That's the big takeaway. Have cash, have some things to be prepared just in case. But yeah, hopefully they can solve this. Okay, anybody else? Do you have any other points to share?
I think
Yeah, with this. Oh, go ahead. Toniel.
no, go ahead, Antonio. It's okay.
No, I insist.
Okay, I'll take it. Thank you. So, I think two things that I wasn't really proactive with was like having been able to actually know what's happening by having like a radio, for example. I think that's a very important thing to have. I think we overlook the importance of radio communication, because when all like short forms or short wave things like go out, the radio still will be there. And water is very important, because after the electricity goes, usually the water would usually go. And being the person that I am, I waited because I had so much faith that this thing would come back. I was so trusting of what was happening. I wasn't proactive enough to get like enough water, because later you need to cook, you need to wash, you need to take a shower, you need to brush your teeth, all of these kind of things. And the water there is very important. And for batteries, I think, as you guys know, within maybe like 2 hours of this happening, supermarkets were going crazy. They didn't have like toilet paper, didn't have like sanitary wipes. I think the water was gone also, but it was just like a big air of panic, and in some places, because I saw a lot of videos, right? Even like, for example, even when in the moment when all of this happened, there was a stoplight that you could see from our classroom, and it stopped. And we were taking notice, and people like they didn't know what to do for the first 10 minutes of not being able to use a stoplight. Your cars were always like honking their horns because people were passing, and people were cussing like, come on, don't you see that the stoplight is not working? Like, be a human now, stop, let us get past. So it took a little while for people to realize that we basically have to come together and let this work, or let it work how it can work, until they fix the situation.
Perfect points. Perfect. All right.
I just want to say I don't know why people always buy toilet paper in these sorts of situations. I've never understood it.
Yeah, and these.
Me either.
I guess it's
go-to
because
purchase.
they don't have a bidet at their place. I mean, otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean but the same thing happened during COVID. Like we had water was working, and everyone was just like toilet paper. Yep, that's going to make me feel better.
Yeah. And anyway, for the I'd love to add an information that just a friend told me that yesterday, because I have like a small old radio. I'm going to show it to you. It's funny somehow.
That was a good point too, the radio.
Yeah. But I don't know what it's up. I guess something did crash up. Well, this is like it's an old radio, but it's not like a walkie-talkie. But what I wanted to say, I was just showing this to a friend yesterday and trying to fix it because it seems that it's not working. I need to use like some kind of nail tool to clean it here from the inside so that it will catch the pills. Anyways, I wanted to say that he said that not everybody has the permission to use such a walkie-talkies because of the I don't know if you knew that already, like Otoniel, he was talking Otoniel, right? His name is Otoniel.
It was me, yeah, about the radio.
Okay, so Toniel, sorry, it's not Otoniel. Toniel. So I don't know if you know already this, but that is what is called here in Spain multas. I mean, like if they cut
like
you,
a fine.
Yeah, having kind of radios that you cannot catch some kind of frequencies. They can give you a multa. I don't know how to call it.
Maybe if you're trying to listen to the police station or something like that.
No, it's like a special. They are special walkie-talkies. I don't know how to explain it that much, but you should be like, not everyone is authorized.
Authorized?
Yeah, authorized, exactly. Now everyone's authorized to use this kind of radios to communicate. So I don't know about United States, but here this is what he told me. And he told me pay attention because I was thinking in buying one like Tony exactly. In the States of me, they're going like if they catch you or whatever, they're going to give you multa money.
Oh, but
Oh,
So
yeah,
much money.
haven't heard
You're
about
going
that.
to so much
But I
money.
think if we just buy a normal radio, we'll be fine. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
normal one, yeah, that's fine. But a professional walkie-talkie, no.
Yeah, yeah. Not
Yeah.
professional.
I think just a final comment for me, like what struck me about the whole thing was, both it reminded me a little bit of COVID actually, that when, something unexpected and something unplanned and unusual occurs, I think there was just like a lot of stories, you know what I mean, of people knocking on their elderly neighbors' doors to make sure that they were okay. Like I had people calling from Ireland, to make sure that everything was okay. So like I think we live in a world right now where we don't have great role models and we have, a lot of war and there's a lot of, bad things happening around us. So I think when something like this happened, certainly I felt you could just feel like literally the camaraderie here in Alicante. Again, there was people, you know what I mean, just again going for beers, going for wines with people that they hardly knew because they all had to sit around, same tables and stuff, and all the cheering when the lights started coming back on. So I think sometimes these things are, inconvenient and, there was some awful stories that some people have talked to, people being stuck in lifts, people being stuck and having to walk. I think somebody was saying their sister had to walk quite a long way. But by the same token, I'm a firm believer in that when things like this happen, that, the warmth of kind of humans and the empathy and kindness, tends to come through. So I think that for me, although I was very happily, I'm sitting on my own here in the apartment. I could literally hear it around me, you know what I mean, which I thought was quite inspiring in the midst of the current times.
Thanks for sharing that, Dave. That's right. Like the most beautiful part of this horrible situation was getting to witness our human empathy and kindness, like you said, just people sharing in the moment together in the best way possible. So thank you for sharing that. We have already passed 30 minutes, so I want to say I'm sorry about the time. I think I underestimated. And if you need to go, it's okay. I understand, but maybe just another 5-10 minutes and we'll wrap it up. Okay. So I learned the word apagón. I didn't know that word before, but knowing Spanish and that the verb apagar means to turn off, I was able to connect the dots, of course. But I wonder, did you learn any other Spanish words or phrases from your neighbors or from the news during this situation?
I'm attending the Escuela Oficial de Idiomas here in Alicante a couple of mornings a week, slowly but surely increasing my Spanish. So that was the main word, yeah, I would have picked up on. And likewise in the class, actually, the one that followed, there was a lot of similar conversation about where people were. And again, it was quite interesting to hear the different experiences that people had. But that would have been one of the main words that I definitely didn't know before that I won't forget now for the next time.
Okay, perfect. All right. And the last question is just that if this had happened in your home country, how do you think the reaction would have been different? Because I think all of us are from a different country except Antonio. You are originally from Portugal, right? Yeah. But the rest of us are here on the Iberian Peninsula from abroad. So how would the reaction have been different in your home country? Sure, Zina.
Yeah, for me, like I can tell, like I wasn't surprised with the Spanish people reaction because it's more likely to be our reaction, Morocco reactions. It's really fun to realize, like during 8 years here, we're too similar to the extent. Even like when a crisis happens, people they make fun of it, they mock, and they just have fun. I mean, like my people like had like so much solidarity acts because this usually happens in many crises that did happen in Morocco. Did show up like there are people that show up for each others. We have this kind of models still really good rooted there. gracias a Dios, como digo. So yeah, I guess people would like handle it the perfect way possible, helping each other's, giving water, giving food, giving whatever. They're not going to run like crazy to supermarkets because, to be honest, in my country, still people have that small little markets near home that they have shoppings day to day, like every day. They don't need like to go to really big supermarkets like Carrefour and Marjan. We have another like brands like here in Spain, but people they're not used to use this because it's not rooted in our culture. So whatever they have at home, they're going to share it with the other neighbor or their friend that they're stuck somewhere. They're going to send their husband or their brother with the car to bring someone somewhere. I usually see this, and it's really hard. Heartwarming, yeah, it's really heartwarming. And to be honest, there is some kind of like acts of kindness that I see in my country. I did miss them here when I came. It doesn't mean that Spanish people they're really bad people. They're kind as much as us, but I think in my country people still didn't lose yet some kind of really crucial humanitarian acts, and that form like a really important part of their essence. So yeah, this is the part of solidarity. The other part, they're going just to celebrate. We have instruments like in my country, most of the people they have in their houses like instruments like this one. I'm going to show you. I don't know how to call it in English. I don't know if you see it before. This is like called
It's a
Moroccan bendir.
tambourine.
Brain.
But it's called, look, the word, it's a new word. It's called Moroccan bendir.
Ah, bendir. Nice.
Yeah, indeed. And usually it comes with really big sizes. We have like special places in every city that they have this instrument. So people were going out like outside and they're going to have fun and sing and yeah, it's like almost like the Spanish vibe, as I said. So yeah, and that's all. So I guess my people would handle it the best way possible, because maybe because we are programmed on the survival mode. I don't know. I think sometimes like that. Because, for example, imagine a Moroccan woman wouldn't like need a lot of tools to make like a meal, which is I notice here in Spain. I mean, like a lot of tools, like she need like she can use, for example, just one knife for everything, like for 5 or 6 meals, or just one spoon or whatever, just one pan. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, because like usually people there, I don't mean like my country is that much poor, but they don't have like a lot of money or high quality lifestyle to afford many tools and many stuffs, or have oven. Even like in some countryside we still have that kind of old ovens that are made of clay. I don't know if I'm explaining it well. So the ovens that are made of clay, Moroccan women usually they know how to make one. So for example, imagine that we don't have electricity, or we don't have ovens, electric ovens, or even gas. We're going to switch to the to the old way. So yeah, I was just giving an example of survival mode. Maybe that's what makes my people can handle the situation the best way possible. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I think, Zainab, I would agree with you. I think for me, a lot of the reaction here, a lot of the support reminded me of being back in Ireland, because I do think, the human element came through. What I did find interesting actually culturally here, like I was only on that train for an hour, by the way, and it wasn't much of a hardship. But what I did find, I suppose, was from both people on the train and also when the policia came onto the train, like their primary focuses were very, very clearly, I suppose, both seniors and children. And, all of us in the middle, they recognized, we're more self-sufficient, we were probably going to panic less about what was happening, we would know more from a coping mechanism. Almost what to do with it. Because on my carriage, for instance, like there was an elderly lady, was semi-panicky, and there was a younger girl crying and stuff. So what I found culturally about the Spanish is I really liked the fact that, in something like this, like they particularly zoned in on the two age categories, or, populations who in something like this are more vulnerable, or could be more alarmed or more scared. And whereas I think in Ireland, and I don't know if it's the same for other countries here, like almost everyone would be pretty much kind of almost thought about the same, or treated the same. So I thought it was a really nice cultural element, that they were particularly concerned about the well-being of both kind of the kids and the elderly people, certainly that I was on that train with that day.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful to see. Yep.
I feel like
Care of the less vulnerable.
in the US, oh my gosh, people would have been going crazy in the US because we tend to
Not the
like geek out
preppers, they'd
about
be happy.
everything. There are, conspiracy theories. There could have been looting in some like stores. You of course have a mixture of everybody in the US. So you would have nice people helping people, of course, but there would definitely be a lot more sense of a panic and like I don't know. But then there's also Americans that don't take things seriously. Like when you think about COVID, how many people just like didn't want to wear a mask? So there'd probably be like 8 conspiracy theories already formed by people. You know, same with the toilet paper though. There'd be no toilet paper. Um, there would probably be definitely a lot of people don't have cash in the US, so that would be a problem. Um, we're more car dependent, so I guess we would be able to get to and from places more. We would probably be less in the streets dancing. Like here,
Oh.
everyone was in the streets
For
dancing.
sure. That was the most amazing part, seeing everyone together in the streets and like we all mentioned earlier at the beginning, like when it first happened, like where were we and what did we do? Like we all had a version of we looked out the window or went to the balcony to see people, the neighbors outside, joining together to find out what's happening. So that definitely the social community aspect is, I think, what draws most of us here to the Iberian Peninsula. It's a beautiful part of the culture.
Yeah.
So anyone else about how you might have reacted differently in your country or how most of your country would react?
I think, because I come from an island and we experience these things. These things happen. It's not something uncommon. For example, when we have like hurricanes. I don't know if you guys, Nina, I don't know if you remember in 2004 when there was Hurricane Ivan
Hmm.
or Katrina.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah, that time the hurricane actually passed right over our island and we had a island-wide power out, all of the island for at least 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, all of the island. And where I lived, we got back the electricity after a month. But it was just like as Zineb was saying, like being in survival mode. When these things happen, you find ways how to bounce off the wall to be, prepared for these kind of things. And I wouldn't really have much of a problem because it was only for a few hours, honestly. And what my family would usually do when these things would happen is that light is gone, nobody can watch the TV, nobody can be in their rooms. We all have to be together. And the older ones would come and like tell us stories, like horror stories, for example, or just stories in general, or be there making jokes, having the candles lit, playing like card games, dominoes, that kind of thing. So the light is out, communications are out, and we have each other, that kind of thing, you know?
It's
I'm,
really,
I'm
go ahead, Antonio.
sorry, really quick. I'm in my own country, so I can't do that exercise, hypothetical exercise. But I would like just to say that I think it's interesting that there's people from different countries here that have different lifestyles and experiences in the sense of how they have technology present in their day-to-day life and how much of that affects face-to-face communication and social interaction. Because of course we're all connected either way. It's just that some places in some places we rely more on technology to communicate, and in others less. And clearly, I totally would agree with that. Like wherever we're more dependent on technology, we feel that we're kind of naked once everything goes out all of a sudden, and people don't know what to do. And I also think that the COVID event turned on this panicky mode in a lot of people, and maybe what caused people to react badly in some ways, like going to the supermarket and flooding it, and there were lines on the street of people getting food, because like as if everyone was expecting that we'd have like 2 or 3 weeks or 2 months again of being, without freedom of movement or without the ability to turn on the lights. And then it's kind of summer. It's daylight time already here. So when the lights came back on, there was still some light. But I also noticed that a lot of people were like, okay, night is coming. What are you going to do? And that was stressful for a lot of people. But then, like you said, people were opening up the windows, asking their neighbors if they had eggs. I need some help. I offered eggs to my neighbors, stuff like that. And I think it forced us to go from the global, being in a global place, to back to our local zone. Because we're involved with all of these local, regional, national, global zones every day. And suddenly we're just in our zone. We can only reach where we can walk to, or drive, of course. But and I think this never happened here. Like it happened, like Zainab and Neil said, it happened in their countries, or they were more prepared. But I've been a scout since I was 7. I've been lost in forests and having to sleep wherever until daylight came up, and we tried to find a way back. Cooking whatever. I have my stuff there. We had a radio, and I think that's what people kind of lost, like knowing their way around different situations. Um, like doing a trip without their cell phone for 5 days, trying that kind of stuff. Again, camping in the wild, and of course, if they're not used to that, all of a sudden, we have a whole generation, and this is just my last point. We have a whole generation right now who are turning adults, very close, um, who were born with the internet, and that's not the case for me, for instance. Like born, or at least when they got to an age where they, started using devices, they all had internet. I remember a time where I just, I had to go knock on my friends' doors, ask their mother where he was so I could go join him and play in the streets. And people don't do that anymore. And so I think it's just a matter of when you don't do something or you stop doing something, it becomes scary when it's not. This is my point.
Excellent points.
Just to add a last thing, what was Antonio saying it did sound to me interesting, because just like casually today I did publish a video on my WhatsApp status where I shared that it's really sad that nowadays when the babies are born, we're not taking we're not taking them with us to, for example, to the forest, to let them play, to enjoy, to experiment, to discover themselves. Instead, we just like once they born, we plug them with a phone, which is like something really, really, really bad. I guess that the technology made this new generation just less creative, less thoughtful, less operative, because like they don't really, they just can't survive. For me, like I sometimes, it's not like a matter of criticizing ladies, but I used to say to close ladies to me, I said to them, for me it's a shame that I can just let you alone in a room and you cannot just cook one simple meal to yourself, or you cannot just I don't know to say split one egg to survive. This is just like a banal, like ridiculous idea. Imagine other complicated stuff when people they stuck in some, like in this kind of situation we were talking about the blackout, how people would operate. It's really important. And learning to disconnect, like from my experience, it was like the best thing that did happen to me in 2021. In 2021 I lost my phone. I lost my phone in such a horrible way. It's a really large story. And later, I decided to do not buy one. My family were insisting, why we're going to buy you one? It's okay. It's okay. I just felt traumatized because I had so much important data and I hadn't like a backup. So I lost the phone totally. I said, okay, let's live without a phone. What's going to happen? And practically I was studying like filmmaking in that period, so I was leaning on my laptop. But with laptop you can do much, let's be honest. Laptop is for other type of tasks, but for entertaining or whatever you can use more your phone. So the experience for me without any type of contact with phone for 1 year was the best ever I felt. Do you know what they teach me? It's amazing. Like for me, I just, whenever I remember, I can't realize myself. It just did detach me from something called phone, which is like usually like for me, it did develop for me the habit of not looking to the phone or looking for it, looking into it and looking for it both. For example, sometimes I just let my phone somewhere and I can't remember where is it. And this is a positive thing. It's not a really bad idea, because this is mean you're living more in reality. Nowadays people go to concerts like musicians. I know they work so hard. As a musician, I'm saying this too. They work so hard like to project such a show or whatever. They put in so much effort, and people, they're not anymore enjoying. They're all with the phones like that. Come on, like please. You can take photos or videos for 10 minutes maximum, but the whole show it's 1 hour or 2 hours. You're there to live it, to honor that moment in your mind. Because when we are aging, I guess, for example, when we're much like much older, for example, imagine I am in my 15s, somewhere I'm just like laying on my back in the beach, maybe like taking some sunlights. In flashback, it just did come to my mind that moment where I was watching the concert. It just brings some kind of a type of finish that's so much human, that make us human. Now I feel, to be honest, like we are transforming into zombies, or like zombies, like but alive in a term. It's a figure to tell people that it's really sad. I guess this is it.
Yeah.
What we're going to do now, there's nothing to do about it.
Thank you for sharing, Zainab.
That's
You're
all.
absolutely
Thank you.
right. Yeah. See, like the last few comments, the things that Antonio and you said about how we need to get back to just connecting to nature, spending time outdoors, detached from our phone, and feel comfortable and feel okay and not in a state of panic, like missing it. So see how the sudden power cut has lit up so many great conversations. It's ironic, right? So
Yeah.
I want to say thank you to all of you for being here. I'm grateful that you are each in my life, and that I'm just surrounded by so many amazing people from different backgrounds, different parts of the globe. But we're all here on the Iberian Peninsula doing life together. So thank you for sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. And I'm sorry it went over, but it was a great conversation. And really, it could go on for ages. For people watching this on my YouTube channel, if you're watching, drop a comment about what you were doing during the blackout. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more English tips that I share. Also in the description, I'll include everyone's social media information if you'd like, so people can find you and connect as well. Any final comments? If not, then we are out.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye,
Peace and
thanks.
love.
Okay, have a happy Saturday. Bye.
Cheers.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.